to Islam. But hating the behavior and loving the individual himself who does it, or loving the individual and hating his behavior, it is not that clear. And Islam, when you refer the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه, and love and hatred in Islam, it is very clarified. It's not something ambiguous. It doesn't have this ambiguity of having a difference or distinguish between the man, the individual, and his behavior. You hate him as an individual because of his behavior, and you love him as a Muslim because of his behavior in general. This is the general rule. But once he gets involved in something haram, the Muslim, you fear for him, but you still love him.
And you hate what he has done.
Yes, the behavior.
So here is a case where you may love the person because of his faith, but you hate his actions because it is haram.
Because it is haram.
Prohibited, yeah.
But the general rule is still, you love him.
Mm-hmm.
You love the individual, the Muslim.
I think to elaborate the matter of the subject, الولاء والبراء, that will be obvious, will be defined inshallah much. Because الولاء والبراء, I think elaborated الولاء والبراء. Clarify that to be.
What is meant by الولاء والبراء?
Elaborate that.
Well, of course, this is another major topic to go into. But the concept of who we trust as our allies, who we consider to be those who are our friends, who we would depend on, are supposed to be the believers. And we don't that love and trust and alliance that we would make would and should be to the believers, and that should not be given to the disbelievers. I mean, this is a principle in terms of Muslims, in terms of their dealing with in any given society, that for the requirements of da'wah, as our brother was saying, we have to be open-minded in terms of dealing with people. But because of what they represent, then if they are in a state of disbelief, they represent the system of disbelief, we cannot put trust in those individuals. We cannot establish alliances of mutual support with those individuals. This is reserved for the believers. I don't know, is there some particular point you wanted to?
I agree with you, because there is a general idea, general love and hate, okay? And under that, the deeds, okay? So,
yeah, it's just that it becomes quite complex, when a person, it's very easy when a person is from a Muslim family, raised in a Muslim family, in a Muslim society, to look at the other societies in clear-cut terms. But when you're from a non-Muslim society, where your parents are non-Muslims, and inside yourself that you feel love for your parents, because they brought you into this world, they looked after you, they raised you, and they treat you kindly, and so on.
This is a general ayah, very, very clear. Doesn't need any explanation. لا تجد قوما, and he didn't say.
Translate it for the brother. Translate it, brother.
لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله, you might not find a Muslim.
You will not find.
Who does not believe in Allah and the last day. يوادون, love, من حاد الله ورسوله, those who are not believing in Allah and His Prophet. ولو كانوا, even if they are آباءهم, their fathers, parents, أو أبناءهم, children, أو إخوانهم, brothers, أو عشيرتهم, belonging to the same tribe. This is the clear meaning of the ayah. So it gives the general rule that even if he is your father, you fear for him, you hope that he becomes a Muslim, and you exert your thought for inviting him, but still, what is in the heart should be very clear. Or else, he means love and hatred. This is the meaning of peace. If you mix feeling, it would be a great problem.
Well, you see,
question arises here. The problem is the following. Is every non-Muslim a Catholic? And is every Catholic a non-Muslim? In other words, an outright rejecter of faith, a conscientious, outlaw in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is this individual, to be, seen, placed on the same level as someone who has no knowledge? I think this point has to be taken into consideration because, and this brings up the importance, and the fine line of da'wah, and what is the role and obligation of every Muslim, to himself, to his wife, to his children, to his father, to his mother, to his family, and to the entire earth.
See, because
I think this point has to be taken into consideration.
Still, it has nothing to do with da'wah.
No.
Still, you have to invite people.
Okay, brother.
Prophet hated Khalid ibn Walid very much. But once he invited him for Islam, he sent his brother saying, tell Khalid, I can never imagine that such a man or such a person like Khalid should never think of Islam. He's, very wise enough to think about it. But he still hated Khalid until he embraced Islam.
But if Islam allows...
Da'wah, we have to invite people. No difference.
Just a minute. Go beyond the concept of da'wah. A Muslim is allowed to marry a Christian woman.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Now don't tell me that Islam is saying that you may marry this Christian woman, but you must hate her.
No.
No, brother.
There is a maslaha behind it.
No, but wait.
If you think that she will never accept Islam, do you know the requirement?
No, wait. Before we...
It's not absolute to marry a Christian lady or a Jew lady. There are some limits in this. And we have to go back to the kutub of fiqh, the books of fiqh, to study in which case should we marry them.
Brother,
There are about 12 conditions.
the general rule...
Christian or a Jew.
No, I think the general rule, brother, before we get into the conditions, because these conditions deal with, I think for the most part, exceptional circumstances. The general rule is that a Muslim male may marry a Christian female or a Jewish female. That is the general rule. And it is not a requirement that this female indicate that she will eventually become a Muslim. You may wish that all you want, but that is not a condition for you marrying her. There is nowhere where there is evidence to state that that is a... So in other words, if you are allowed to marry a Christian woman or a Jewish woman, knowing full well she has not expressed anything about wanting to come into Islam, you are allowed to marry her.
What kind of lady? What kind of Jew lady or...
Well, we know we have muhsanat. This is what is expressed inside them. Muhsanat meaning that the one person who is not a lewd person, a person who is not known to be lewd, a person who, is chaste, a chaste woman, right? I mean, this is what we're allowed to marry. But the point is that, in terms of her faith, she is allowed to maintain her faith. So, if Islam now permits us to marry somebody of that faith.
What kind of love between a husband and a wife? Do you mean the same love you are referring to all through this presentation or this khutbah?
No,
love for Allah. Is this the same kind of love?
No, of course it isn't. Okay, this
You
is...
might call it something else, feeling.
No, brother, it is love.
A wife, but not the love for Allah.
No, it is
for Allah.
It is love. You see, and this is why I brought up the issue of your own biological parents. That though, you see, there is something which happens to you that maybe you cannot conceive of it because you're not in the situation of us who have accepted Islam.
But Prophet Muhammad and the people in Mecca were in that situation, and we take our deen from them. They lived that situation. You are living in, or some of our brothers who live in the Western countries with parents, kafir parents, the Prophet and the Sahaba lived the same situation. But they gave us the example how to deal with it.
But how do you...
Some of them were.
So, but...
No, all of them became. Yeah. None of them died as a kafir, as a Christian or a Jew.
Of the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. You see, so what I'm suggesting is that those of us who have accepted Islam, it is very difficult. If we have been raised by good people, I mean, it's easier if your parents were, terrible to you or